25,000 men died because of what happened to one woman in one night. This is the most disturbing story in the Bible, and hardly anyone knows it exists. Let me tell you about the nameless concubine of Gibeah. A Levite man and his concubine had a falling out. She left him and returned to her father's house in Bethlehem for 4 months. The Levite, wanting to reconcile, traveled to bring her home. Her father welcomed him warmly, and they spent several days feasting together. On their journey back, night fell as they approached Jebus, later Jerusalem. The Levite's servant suggested staying there, but the Levite refused because it was a foreign city. Instead, they pushed on to Gibeah, a town of their fellow Israelites in Benjamin's territory. Surely they'd be safe among their own people. But no one in Gibeah offered them hospitality. They sat in the town square as darkness fell. Finally, an old man, himself not from Gibeah originally, saw them and took them into his home, horrified that fellow Israelites would leave travelers in the street. That night, wicked men of the city surrounded the house, demanding the Levite be sent out so we could know him, echoing the story of Sodom. The old man offered his own virgin daughter and the Levite's concubine instead, pleading with them not to commit such wickedness against his guest. The Levite himself pushed his concubine outside to the mob. They assaulted her throughout the entire night. At dawn, she crawled back to the doorway and collapsed at the threshold. In the morning, the Levite opened the door, ready to continue his journey, and said coldly, "Get up, let's go." But she didn't answer. She was dead at the doorstep, having reached for the threshold but been unable to enter to safety. What happened next shocked all Israel. The Levite took her body home, cut it into 12 pieces, and sent one piece to each tribe of Israel as a witness to what had happened. The nation was horrified. Such a thing has never been seen from the day the Israelites came up out of Egypt. This led to a civil war. The tribes demanded Benjamin hand over the guilty men of Gibeah. Benjamin refused to surrender their own. In the ensuing war, nearly the entire tribe of Benjamin was wiped out. 25,000 men died, and only 600 survived. Why this story matters: this happened during the period when there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in their own eyes. The moral chaos at the end of Judges. The story reveals how far God's people had fallen. They showed more cruelty than the pagans they feared. A woman's life meant nothing. She wasn't even named in Scripture. They violated every law of hospitality, justice, and human dignity. One man's cowardice led to a woman's death and national devastation. The woman at the center remains nameless, representing countless voiceless victims of violence and injustice. Yet her story was preserved in Scripture as a witness, a warning, and perhaps a call to remember those society forgets. This is biblical honesty at its rawest, showing that God's people are capable of unspeakable evil when they abandon His ways, and that the cost of moral compromise is always paid by the most vulnerable.